Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's 9:30 here on the East Coast, and right now we're at 1,300 degrees in the kiln. Supposed to be about 1,250 right now, somewhere in that range, but little spikes here and there don't bother me too much. So hope y'all are doing well. Let me know that y'all can hear me and that you're all here. There we go. Hey, Sally. Good morning. Yeah, it's pretty. Hey there. All right, everybody. Hey, Adrian. Good deal. Thank you, Robert, for letting me know. But yeah. Yeah, you can probably, you might be able to hear the crackle of fire. Well, I know you'll be able to once I put some more wood in. But right now I'm really having to put wood in probably every like 5 minutes or less, actually. Welcome to everybody. Glad you're here. Like I said, I know a lot of you wanted to see and hear stuff about the first wood firing, but between all of the between all of the wood and all the wood, I was reading comments. Between all of the stress and just being tired and worn out from all that process, I could barely even, fire the kiln, much less make videos. Hardly about it. I did some time lapses, if y'all have seen those videos of the first wood firing, and it just was too much to try to make videos about it as well, much less live stream. So this time I thought, you know what, I'm way more chilled about this one because I've had one successful firing, and that, like I said, went well. And so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do some videos and live streams about this one. So, but hey there, I saw you, Alonzo. Hey there, Bert. I'm gonna put some wood in. So give me a second. Trying to remember how to see chat. There it is. Robert, we're using mostly all of the cordwood we got over there is mostly mostly oak, and then these strips of wood here leaning against the kiln, those are poplar. All the wood is pretty much free wood, so but the poplar is fine. That comes from a local. They make wooden spindles, and these are leftovers from what they build, and so those are all free, and they come in these little strips, which are really nice. So. Yeah, it's definitely warm in there, Chris. It's 1266 right now, according to the front parameter. I've got two parameters. So, yeah, we'll be firing. We won't finish until tomorrow midday. So we've got started yesterday at about 4:30 in the afternoon with the kind of preheat campfire. Did that until midnight. It was about 300 degrees, and then Samuel Shug, he's somebody that I met. He lives not too far from here, about 30 minutes away. Him through Instagram, and he came down and put a few pots in and has helped me load and helped me fire. He did last night, and he's going to come tomorrow morning again. And so yeah, it's going pretty well so far. We're on schedule, so I can't complain one bit. So kiln, great thing is having the kiln draws really well, having good parameters in there, so you get really really accurate readout. And they're really responsive right now. Like it says 1280. Like here, I'll show you the parameter here. you can see there's, well, it looked backwards to me. I don't know if that's backwards to y'all, but 1280, 1279. And then the smaller number down here, that's the back barometer. That's between the very back stack, and then the one in between it, it's at 1030, 1030 degrees, and that's all Fahrenheit. So we're doing fine. As far as temperature goes, we're pretty much started going up 100 degrees an hour from midnight last night all the way until tonight at 6 p.m. We should hit about 2100 degrees. Okay, good. Thanks, Sally. Yeah, holding it up to my screen, it looks backwards because I got the front-facing camera. But anyway, we should hit like 2100 degrees tonight about 6 p.m. or this afternoon, early evening. And then we're actually going to hold between 21 and 2200 degrees all the way until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. That will help build up some wood ashes on the pots, especially those in the front. And also, I'm hopefully going to help even out the temperature throughout the kiln. With the size of this kiln being taller than it is wide, it has a tendency to be hotter in the bottom actually than in the top, because the heat pulls through the bottom of the kiln into the chimney and up. So I'm going to work on playing with the active and passive dampers that I have in the chimney as to create a little bit of back pressure, as well as trying to do that hold tonight, which will help, like I said, even out that temperature. So. And here in just a second, I will, before I do the next stoke, I will show you guys a little bit closer, maybe inside the door there. You can see, what you'll notice is most of the pots in the front, they're mostly raw clay with a little bit of slip decoration on them. And but you will probably see is there's already some wood ashes laying on some of the pots. It'll look like dust or dirt on the pots. And that's a good thing, because all the hardwood that we fired so far, some of that wood ash has gone up into the air and is landing on the pots. The amazing thing is by the time you hit like that 2100 degrees tonight, all that will start to melt and actually run down the pots as a glaze. So that's the reason also, like I said, we're going to do that hold overnight, because all that wood that we're going to put in for that 12 hours will burn, and all that wood ash will land on the pots and start to melt. So. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to stoke, but before I do yet, I'll hold you guys up here closer so you can see inside the door. So if you guys can see, but there's some. You might not be able to see it through the camera, but there's some of that wood ash landing on the pots, and. At this point, it doesn't take a lot of wood to stoke it each time, and that one dropped a little more than I wanted it to because I was talking too much. But it doesn't take a whole ton of wood to stoke it each time. It's just more about the consistency of how often we stoke. So keeping wood in it every time, pretty much when I see the temperature, depending on where we are as far as in line with where I want to be on the firing schedule. Pretty much once it starts to peak and just start to drop back down, it will. That's a good time to put the wood in the kiln. So let me look at the chat again here. The kids want s'mores for breakfast, huh? I bet they do. It might be a little hot to make s'mores. Yeah, I will stir the embers. I pretty much move those around, and it's probably about time to do that as well. So. Yeah, the wood ash would basically make a glaze on the pots, even if you didn't have any glaze on them. It might not be enough to glaze all the pots in the kiln, but especially those in the very front. even if we didn't put salt in the kiln at the end of the firing, you would get some form of glaze on those pots just from the wood ash. But we'll be doing the salt as well, and the salt actually also helps melt any of that ash and any of the glazes that are on the pots as well. So yeah, I kind of have to see how well it's holding tonight. I would like to keep using hardwood tonight all the way until tomorrow morning to build up those ashes. We'll just have to see if it's producing enough heat to hold it at that 21 to 2200 degrees. If not, we'll start introducing a little pine tonight, and just a mixture of hardwood and pine. And then, the pine pretty much exclusively tomorrow we'll be using pine in the front, and then all this little wood to my side. I've got little strips of pine that we'll be putting in the side in between the stacks of pots as well. So yeah, I let that last one go a little too long. It's down to 1225 now, so I'll probably give it a second, stir those embers, and then put some more wood in. What I'm going to do when I stir the embers is just take a longer, beefier piece of wood, and I'm actually just going to stick it in there and rake those embers around. That will allow some of the wood ash to go up in the atmosphere, but also spread that out throughout the firebox so it burns more evenly. You get some of those bigger pieces that might not be burning so well because they've been covered up. Get that spread around. And I did the door a little bit different at the bottom this time, to where I've got a couple extra bricks that I can pull out there to get more air intake to the firebox. So I gotta go fill the wheelbarrow up, so I'll set this here so you can see. I got my hardwood pile over here, so just take the wheelbarrow over, load it up, bring it back and set it here. Makes it a little easier than carrying arm loads. Here you go. Let's mess around. I'll give you guys a little guided tour here. There's the wheelbarrow I just filled up with wood. So basically, I got my pyrometer down there, or the readout. The wires go up over the rafters and across the top of the metal on top of the kiln, and I've got the two probes, like I said, in the kiln. One goes in right there, and the other one's going in back here. And then these are the holes that we'll put wood in the side tomorrow. I've also got places that we can either view cones or move ashes around in between the stacks. So basically, there is a stack of pots right here, and then there's a gap where that hole is. Then there's a stack of pots here. There's a gap. And then there's another stack of pots there. And then I also have this brick down here that I can actually I can actually get air to the back of the firebox there, or I can stir embers with that. When I was talking about dampers, I've got the active dampers up here that you can push in and pull out to cut off the airflow, but also I've got passive dampers, which are these, which basically just open up an air intake directly to the chimney. So you could actually have the same air flow and draw from the chimney, but change that some of that air comes from out here instead of from inside the kiln chamber, and that can help adjust where all the heat goes and all that. Yeah, I saw that comment. I did sleep, actually. I got about 5 hours of sleep last night because I had good help that came to help out last night. Oops, let's see. I needed to do that right there. Yeah, now we're back up to 1277. And I guess my phone's not showing me what time it is while I'm streaming. So it's been 16 minutes, so I should know. That means it's about 9:45. So that's good. That's perfect temperature. We want to hit 1300. The goal was to hit 1300 at 10 o'clock, just going up 100 degrees an hour. And so here, let's adjust this over just a tad. Get back to the comments here. Yeah, we are side stoking. I'm sure you heard me answer that now. The pine, Tim, actually burns hotter and faster than the hardwood. So really at the end, okay, there you go. Look, Jason, look at that. You did it for me. Thank you. Okay, yeah, the probe that I'm using to read the heat right now is the one in the front, so it's basically the one right in front of the front stack above the firebox. So yeah, the hardwood might technically burn hotter, I'm not sure, but it just doesn't burn fast enough to build up that heat over the towards the end. So yeah, Sally, the importance of raising the temperature slowly is especially from room temperature all the way up to like 1300 degrees. You don't want to go too fast because you got a stage there, a quartz inversion, where you could actually easily crack pieces. Even though most everything in here is bisque fired, you don't want to crack pieces by going too fast, raising the temperature too fast. And so that's one of the main reasons for going slow. A lot of wood-fired potters will actually fire greenware, and so with that, you really have to go even slower. I'll be right back. I was being summoned by one of the kids, but he doesn't know I'm live streaming, so. No, Donna, I will save some pieces out of here to go on Etsy, just like I did last time. I haven't done any Etsy restocks in a while, mainly because I knew I had a crunch time to, once I figured out the dates that I was going to do this firing, I had a pretty severe time crunch to make sure I got everything ready. Uh, so, yeah, Sally, we won't necessarily speed it up once we get past 1200, because at that point it actually would be really hard to speed it up, because just the factor of using wood, um, you know, it might be a bit difficult, and I'm not too worried about it going fast after that. We're gonna soak it, like I said, anyways. So yeah, tomorrow morning there'll be tomorrow morning we'll have, I think, 3 or 4 people here. So there'll be one person putting wood in the front, and one person on each side putting wood in each side. But we usually alternate. Usually we'll put wood in the front, and then we'll do one side, and then put wood in the front, and then do the other side. And that gives the time for, you're kind of working on a system where you're helping the heat building up in the front, and then you wait a little bit, you put a little bit of wood in the sides, and that helps kind of carry that heat towards the back. And then you alternate sides, so that when I'm putting wood in this side, I'm not bumping into the wood that the other person put in this side, that kind of thing. You want to give it time to burn up. And this pine, I didn't have these little small pine strips last time I fired, so the side stoking, honestly, I think it should go even better this time and actually help carry that heat to the back better than even last time. So I'm expecting that things will go well as far as that this time. So we'll see. We're at 1260. I'm going to go ahead and stoke again, because it's kind of holding right there. Yeah, I knew this wouldn't be a action-packed live stream, but like I said, this was the best way that I could show you guys what's going on with the kiln. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying your pots from fire number 1. I did put a number 2 on quite a few pieces that went in this firing. I didn't number everything, though. I didn't want to start putting a number on everything that went in, so I just didn't do everything for the first fire, and pretty much everything that was in there had a number 1 on it, just because it was the first one. I wanted those to be special. But I do want, for those who are really interested in collecting work from each firing, or to kind of date things, I wanted to number quite a few things that went in here. So I'd say probably half or over half of what's in here is numbered with a number 2. And so I will make sure that I set some of those aside for you guys for Etsy that are not local. So let's see here. Yeah, actually, there was a cockroach on the wood. I saw it, and I'm like, man, he made it off that piece of wood just in time. Yeah, you can control the heat, the temperature, by using a mixture of hardwood and softwood. Yes, definitely. The front right now is at 1327. That jumped up quite a bit. I probably should have waited to stoke that one, but it's okay. And then the back is at 1051. So yeah, we're supposed to be about 1300 degrees right now, and so we're not too far off from that. I started doing pottery in high school. My freshman year in high school, in art class, so I had to do an independent project at the end of my freshman year, and the pottery class was held in the same room as art class, but on a different period, and so I saw it all year in that classroom, and then I just decided to try it for my independent project at the end of my freshman year, and then the next year I took art and pottery, and after that I just dropped the art and just did pottery. I think I took it 4 times in 3 years, but because that's my senior year, we switched to the block scheduling where you only had 4 classes for half the year and then another 4 classes for the other half of the year. And so I was able to take it twice in 1 year. But yeah, so that's what got me interested in pottery. And then I was also into bricklaying at the time, but I could make pottery and all class period and not have my back hurt. But I lay brick for an hour and 15 minutes in class, and I could already feel it. And I'm like, no, I don't think I want to do that for a living. So I opted to see if I could go into pottery, and of course, living in Seagrove, that actually was an option. And so I just went to work for a pottery shop when I was 16, and have worked for a lot of pottery shops since then. But now I'm just full-time working for myself. So. There you go. That's right. Hey, I was super glad. I don't know if y'all saw the picture on my Instagram, but my high school art teacher does live close to where I live, and he came to my first kiln opening, and it was so happy to see him, and I was so happy to be able to let him know how much, what he did in that classroom changed my life. And that that could sound trite, but I told him, I'm like, listen, I'm like, without that class, I didn't know anything about pottery. So I mean, it literally gave me what I wanted to do for the rest of my life as far as work goes, and that's pretty cool, So it really did. It changed my life. And without that class being as good as it is, or was, because it's just, because he was a potter, and so for somebody like that, to have run that class and done it really well, that helped me, develop skills and see what was possible with pottery. So let me grab my water. All right, somebody's here from Indonesia. Wow, that's wild. It's, the internet's a crazy place, just to be able to have access to things all over the world, and yeah, it is wild. So my wife's cousin was over here when he helped me do a couple things yesterday before we started the campfire, and he said, after I did the temporary mortar, the clamming on the door, he said, you need to sign that. So I actually signed the door. I don't know if y'all noticed that in any of the pictures, but and then after I signed it, I was like, well, I might as well put a number 2 on there. And he's like, you need to be doing that from now on. That way you can know which firing it was by the picture of the front. I'm like, that's pretty funny. How that leaned back. I thought it was okay. There we go. Yeah, it's actually hard to control reduction a lot in this kiln, but I plan on. I've got a cone 012 in the cone pack inside, and so that's about I think that's around 1500, maybe 1550, somewhere in that range. And when that one goes down, I'm actually going to start working with the dampers on the back to try to create a little bit of back pressure, which is my hope is to even out the temperature in the kiln top to bottom. But that also should give me a little bit of reduction in spots in the kiln. The whole kiln, with a kiln this size, it would probably be very hard to get the whole thing in reduction. there might be a way, but that's not my main goal with the way I'm firing it. So let's see where I'm gonna have to stoke again. It's dropped a little bit. Yeah, one of those pieces I just put in fell down right in front of the opening there, so. Hey Kevin, welcome. Hey Marlies. Yeah, if it wasn't for the video, I probably wouldn't be sitting this close to the kiln either. But maybe we'll I'll back up and just let y'all look at the kiln and watch what's going on for a while. I'll flip the camera around, then I can see the chat from the other side. Yeah, it's a bit warm for firing today, for sure. But actually, what I should have done, left it like this. Done this. Hey Brenda, welcome from Ontario. That's awesome. Yeah, Kevin, you finally did catch me. Wind and humidity, I wouldn't say it affects wood firing too awful much. Probably depends on the size of the kiln, how much it would affect it. Hey David, welcome. We should be able to unload the kiln probably Wednesday or Thursday of next week. I'm guessing just based on how quickly it cooled last time. I didn't necessarily try to cool it really fast, but I mean we do crash cool at the end of the firing to help drop the temperature down like below 1600 degrees. That helps the iron that's in any of the glazes to not crystallize, so you get shinier glazes that way. Flip this back around because actually sitting back here behind the camera, I'm in the sun, so it's hotter than than being next to the kiln. So let's do this and do that. Sorry to spin y'all around. Y'all are getting dizzy. Hey, Gene. Yeah, it's going well. I'm just going to sit down here closer to the camera other than up there. Wow, from Rome, Italy. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, that dust storm's going to come and give us some effects you'll never see again. Yeah, how much salt we'll put in. Last time I put in about 100 pounds of salt, and so I'll probably do the same this time. And that seemed like a good amount for the first firing. Over time, you'll do less and less because it'll build up on the inside of the kiln. I just was moving the embers around through those side stoke holes that go into the back of the chimney there, or back of the firebox there. Yeah, it only took us 2 days to load this firing. It actually went a little quicker than the first one, which was good, so that's always nice. Hey, welcome from England. Well, you know, that was one of my my trip to England. That was one of my fun experiences. Was like, you know, I know if it rained all the time, you know, nobody likes it if it rains all the time, but that was kind of one of the cool things for me, was to see all the rain, you know, see it rain and go out and do things in the rain, and you know, just because that's England, you know. So I hate to, you know, I know you're probably like, yeah, it's raining again. That's, you know. Hey, Belinda. Yeah, we're using mainly oak right now, and those long strips are a little bit of poplar. So any kind of hardwood right now in the first, for me, really the first 3/4 of the firing is pretty much all hardwood. Maybe mix in a little bit of pine. We'll see about that tonight, how much I need to mix in to keep the heat. And then at the end, we'll use pine slabs and small little pine strips that we'll put for the side stoking. So the hardwood burns a little more even. So at the early parts of the firing, it's better because it doesn't have spikes in temperature as much. And then towards the end of the firing, it just doesn't burn fast enough. So you need the pine so that it can burn faster. You can put wood in more frequently and build up that temperature. I don't know. I think it's going to be close to 85 here today. Outside temperature, so yeah, fun day to be standing in front of a Hey, Latana, thanks for letting me borrow Gene the other day. He did a good job rolling wads to help me load the kiln, so I'm excited to see those 2 pots that he put in. So might have to ask for a commission on the sale of them, though. No, he paid for the commission in rolling wads and helping me get pots loaded. So 85 foot cone is that? Yeah. That's a 047. That's what that is. Yeah, we're right on target there because it's, I'm assuming by how long we've been going, it's about 10 after 10, and it's about 13:20, so. Yeah, Dan, I probably should price them higher for wood-fired pots than gas-fired ones. Um, and some of them I probably do. But yeah, that's the hardest thing in if you're doing pottery for a living, the hardest thing, in my opinion, is pricing pots. Because I can make them and fire them all day long a whole lot easier than I can think, what I'm going to price them for. So. Okay, yeah, Gene, that sounds fun. That'd be cool. Rolling wads is the worst job. Have you ever rolled wads? It's actually not that bad. It's actually harder squatting down, putting wads on, and standing back up and putting them in the kiln. My legs are still sore from that. I think next time I'll have people sitting there rolling wads and putting them on the pots, and I'll stand there and place them and grab them from them. That sounds like a better plan. Don't squat down nearly as much. Yeah, she's looking after you, Gene. She felt bad she didn't get to see you. Oops. Let's see. Yeah, I was gonna have my oldest roll wads, and so. Oh yeah, that's right. You have rolled wads for ornaments. Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, to seal the door. Actually, I did. I've got a video of that is going to be coming out where I explain a lot of the process of loading. But the door, that's a mixture of sand and fire clay, and then actually just some of the loose dirt that's on the ground here around my kiln. So it's pretty much like a 50-50 mixture of the sand and fire clay, and then I probably put in maybe another 20 to 30% of just dirt off the floor, just to help bind it all together. And this time the door is actually done better than it did last time. So I think I put a little bit more sand than I did last time. Last time was more like I think it was like 70-30 between the fire clay and the sand, because that's what I did for my mortar. And it needed a little bit more sand, I think, to stick together for all that. And then the dirt helps as well. So. Let's see. Yeah, I used to not be able to bisque fire, Trisha, in the gas kiln, but I actually, I don't know if I put it in a video, but I know I did on my Instagram, where I talked about, I built some temporary walls around the burner ports so that the flame comes up in and doesn't spread out. So, yeah, I'll have help coming at noon. I got somebody coming to work a 6-hour shift. And then I'll be back out here at 6 p.m. to midnight, and then I got somebody else working midnight to 6 a.m. and then I'll be back out here at 6 a.m. until it's done tomorrow. So, all in all, it'll be almost 2 days of firing, not quite. Yeah, the clamming can be reused. Yeah, the clamming that's on the door, I had to add a little bit more to it, but what I scraped off from the last fire, I kept it in a bucket, and then I reconstituted it yesterday and put it back on the door. Yep. Yeah, I thought about doing a live stream later for my late shift as well. It'll definitely be a lot. It'll definitely look a lot different because that inside, by the time 6 o'clock rolls around tonight, the inside of that will be glowing pretty bright red at that point. So. Maybe we'll do a short one then because I'll need quite a bit of, or maybe we'll do it a little bit after I've already gotten into that and I know kind of the routine of what it's going to take to keep it at that temperature. Right now it's at 1320, 1319, but it's climbing. So that's in the front. The back is at 1066. So it's pretty much right on where I need to be. Yeah, I could do that as well. I could just set the camera up and not even worry about talking to it. You know me, though. Somebody, what was it, called me an aspiring introvert. Oh. No. Seemed like that peaked right there. So. Yeah, I'm not sure how much it takes to fire the whole kiln. I just try to make sure I have more than enough. So, but right now I am burning mostly oak and a little bit of poplar in those strips. Um, yeah, definitely, Daryl. That'd be fine. Just if you haven't before, send me an email, and that way I can let you know whenever I do plan my next one. Jason, that's not necessarily a difference of what's better or the best. Um, Gene, you're a mess. Jason, yeah, it's not necessarily a matter of what's best, because I've seen amazing pots out of every style of kiln there is. I've seen amazing pots from electric, gas, wood, pit-fired, which I guess is wood-fired, but you know, I think it's just whatever somebody is inspired to make, and if they do an excellent job at it. And then again, too, if I don't like it, that doesn't mean it's not a good pot, because I've definitely seen pots before that I didn't care for that sold in a heartbeat. Somebody loved it. So there's you know, I think as long as somebody is doing the best that they can, you know, they can make a good pot or a good product, and you know, and keep moving forward. I mean, that's my goal. I mean, you know, I want to be better at pottery next year than I am this year. So and just try to stay humble and learn every step of the way. But like I said, I've seen amazing pots out of every. You go look at Stephen Hill's work. He used to fire in gas, and now he fires an electric kiln. And most of the work, I mean, it's just stunning what he can do in an electric kiln, in my opinion. So it's pretty amazing to see. And then you know, I've seen wood-fired pots that I thought looked horrible. You know, it just all depends on somebody knowing what they're doing, making good quality pots, and then executing, you know, the process of finishing those pots. You know, and it's I think it's taking you know, the time and the energy to do your best on every step of the process, not just one. You know, so. Yep, we're just a little bit ahead of schedule, which is good. We're at 1368 right now. Maybe what I'll do is I'll show you guys inside the kiln again for those who didn't get to see it earlier. Flip this around so I can actually see what y'all are seeing now. Might help if I grab my glove to open the door. You see the cones right there. I've also got cones up top, which you probably can't see because I can't get low enough with the camera. But sorry about that. I was doing some stuff, didn't realize it disconnected. Hopefully you guys are back. Yeah, right now it's not really important to keep it even front to back, because it's going to be hotter in the front. I mean, it's going to be hotter in the front pretty much the whole time. We just try to once we get to a certain temperature, hold it in the front and then carry some of that heat to the back to even it out. So it really only evens out pretty much at the very end of the firing. You just try not to go too hot in the front while doing that in the back. So. Yeah, sorry it got turned off and kicked you guys out, but we pretty much we're doing the hold tonight at like between 2100 and 2200 degrees, and maybe even get to 2300. We'll see, but doing that for like 12 hours tonight, starting at 6 p.m. We don't really hold at the peak temperature for any reason other than to get the temperature to the back at the same temperature, and then we put the salt in, and then we pretty much need to fire probably for another hour after that just to clear out any excess salt and heat it back up, because we've introduced a lot of air at that point as well. So heat it back up, make sure all the glazes and wood ash are all melted really well. So that's not so much a hold as it is just lots of things to do at the end of the firing. Yeah, Dan. Thanks for. Yeah, well, I'm like I said, sincerely grateful for the teacher I had, Mike Durham. He's a great potter, and I'm hoping to get him down here to help me fire and maybe even put some pots in. I don't think he's really making pottery anymore, but maybe I can convince him to make a couple pieces and put them in. That'd be really cool to me, just to have him come down and help. We never did any wood firing in high school. We didn't have a wood kiln, but well, they did after. I think they had a wood kiln. Either that or it was gas kiln. Either one. They didn't have anything but electric while I was there. But after I left, I know a year or two after I left, they had either a gas kiln or a wood kiln. I can't remember which one. I think it might have just been a gas-fired salt glaze kiln. But Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that, Danielle. Yeah, they used the wood kiln at the Pottery Center. Yeah, fire codes are pretty, I'm sure, pretty strict for a school. Yeah, I'm excited. One of our local high schools, I think, the girl that's running the art program there graduated a year or two behind me, and I think it's a newer school, a charter school, and I think they're getting ready to start a pottery program within the next year or two. And so, well, I think they're going to build a new high school, and then when they do that, they're going to start a pottery program. And so, I'm excited about that because I'd love to go and demonstrate, maybe inspire some people to look into it for a career. Yeah, I have two. I have a hole on each side to the kind of like the back side of the firebox. I've been raking those embers around as well from the side. This one I didn't realize I put that big uh, crate of wood right there, and so it's kind of in my way. So I'm having to use a shorter piece of wood when I do it from that side. But yeah, I have been raking those embers as well. Which actually I might go do that right now. Yeah, we'll be the firing will only be like just short of 2 days. Um, Started a preheat yesterday at like 4:30 yesterday afternoon, and then fired overnight, and then we'll finish up tomorrow midday or early afternoon. Yeah, that door design. To be honest with you, oh, that's nice. As far as the garden hoe, that's pretty neat. Um, yeah, that door design. Most kilns I've seen have a door cover that's on a counterweight, which works really nice because you can just slide it up, But I already had all this metal framing around the kiln, and I thought it'd be really nice to not have to lift it up. If you could just swing it out, put the wood in, close it back. The downside of it was when I went to put salt in for the first firing, when I opened it up and then we stood there and putting the salt in, it got really hot, having to stand there for like 2 or 3 minutes putting the salt in. So I made like a homemade little shield this time that we're gonna set up. It's just a wood frame, but it's got a piece of metal roofing attached to it so that it'll cover probably like 3/4 of the opening there once it's open. And then we'll be able to put the nozzle to the sprayer where I spray in my salt, put it in down below that, and spray in the salt without having to get blasted with all that heat for 2 or 3 minutes. So. Hey there, yeah, the fire's been going since yesterday afternoon. Yeah, this will go on YouTube when it's done, so you can catch the beginning of it. All right, Gene, catch you in a little while. Yeah, cook dinner with some of that heat. Yeah. Well, technically you could, honestly, if you made one of those campfire dinners, wrap it up in foil, and just put it at the probably the entrance there of the opening. I'm sure you could. You know, the only problem is it might get super cooked on the backside. You'd have to, I don't know. Maybe if I put a brick like in front of that opening on the ground so that it kind of made it level with the fire, and then did one of those wrapped in uh, wrapped in foil, and then just got it close, and then kind of rotated it. I bet you could do it. I got enough to keep up with though. Yeah, Ben, I probably won't do the stream very much longer, at least for now. Maybe about 11 o'clock my time I'll end it, so another 10, 12 minutes. And then I've got somebody else coming, like I said, at noon, so I'm going to get them situated and started. And then I'll probably go ahead and plan a live stream for later and show you guys a little bit. I'll probably take a minute to kind of show you guys what's going on and then just set the camera back in the kiln. But anyway, so I'll set that up after this one's over. But yeah, this one won't go too much longer. Because once that person's probably going to arrive a little earlier than 12, and just going to catch up with them, make sure that they've never fired a kiln before. So it's my wife's cousin Seth, so he's going to get acclimated here. He helped load and he helped me do the door and all that kind of stuff, the clamming on the door. But make sure he's comfortable doing what he's doing out here. So hey there, Christine. Welcome from New Jersey. Yeah, we've had there's a couple from North Carolina in here. We've got Missouri. Lots of other places. That's just ones that came to the top of my forefront of my mind. All right, Ben, take it easy. All right, sounds good. Oh, and France, Connecticut. I knew I'd start getting states and countries here if I mentioned that. All right, Daryl, take it easy. Yeah, maybe we'll see you later. That's awesome. France and Connecticut and who knows where else. Let's see. We got Georgia there. Hey, Peggy. I don't think I ever responded to your message, did I? But if I have some more of the social distancing mugs. I just haven't had a chance to put them on Etsy yet. So, um, and I probably need to make some more because by the time I put some of those on Etsy, they'll probably be gone, and they're gonna have to be available to the patrons first. So, that's um, they might all be gone before they get to the regular sale. I'm not sure, but either way, I can always make some more. I just had to focus on getting this done first. Hey, Neil. Yeah, Michigan. All right. Petoskey. One of these days, need to run a tally up on a live stream. That'd be fun to know. I'm sure he is, Cheryl. He's so excited, but he didn't want to be here at 6 a.m. I noticed that. No, I'm just picking. It was fine. Probably better because that way, like I said, it got to go back and forth between taking a shift and then taking a break. So Australia, all right. Yeah, I'm tracking the temperature by a couple of thermocouples, Michael, and I've got my my readout right down here. So you can see there we're at 13, almost 1390, and so it's very, very responsive. I got some really good thermocouples. They're in ceramic sheaths sticking in the top of the kiln. One's right in front of the front stack at the back of the firebox, and one's in the back of the kiln. So I got two different readouts there. The front right now is 1394, and the back is 1123 in Fahrenheit. And so yeah, that's just kind of gauge it based on you know, how much wood I put in and how much I'm, you know, balancing out the temperature and the climb that I want. So yeah, Peggy, I have no idea. Well, I know how much I burned last time. I mean, I just by looking at how much wood I had and how much I used, I kind of have an idea of how much I used. But just in general, that's the only way I can do it is just kind of like looking at the pile of wood I have and then how much it's down after I'm done firing. Which I mean, that's kind of the way you have to gauge it. You know, I mean, it's if I was buying already like split cord wood, then I could probably gauge it a lot better. But just cutting it myself and having it stacked here, I'm just gauging it by that. So. All right, the goal is to hit 1400 before we end this. So I'm sure we're almost at 11 o'clock. Like I said, I can't see my timer on my phone. Yeah, Cyril, I'm sure he would. But right now we're at 1373. It just stoked and it's climbing. So I think we'll probably hit 1400 with this stoke. Good chance. Now I write out a firing schedule, but I don't necessarily make a graph. There's some of these readouts that can actually do a graph and stuff like that for you, but here it goes. There you go. All right, well, I think that'll do it for now. I'll bring you guys back later when I take over another shift. I'll probably plan it for maybe like 8 p.m. My time. That'll be 2 hours after I take over that shift, and just have you guys here and show you what's going on then, and then set the camera back and maybe let it go for a little bit while I'm just working. So anyway, all right, you guys have a good afternoon, and thank you for being here, and if you're here later, I'll say hi to you then. And anyway, we're going to keep rolling, and we'll be done tomorrow. You guys, you're definitely welcome, Michael. All of you, I know you appreciate the information, so that's why I was trying to make sure I got some done this time, because last time, like I said, I was just too stressed and tired to do it for the first firing. But this one's a whole lot more relaxed and a lot more fun. So anyway, all right, we'll see you guys later. You're welcome.